Welcome to the chairlift. I'm your host, Snowboard Mom, snowboarder for 28 years. And today on the show, I want to talk about making the best of your snowboard day when bringing along a group of friends or your family. Now, we go to Mont Tremblant, so in this episode, I'm going to talk about making the best of your day in Mont Tremblant, but many of these rules or concepts apply to many of the major ski resorts and snowboard resorts that you are going to visit. So let's kick it off. All right. When we're getting ready for a day of snowboarding or a big weekend of snowboarding, we get ready. Usually I have snowboard dad that is tuning the boards. He's making sure that everyone has a fresh wax. Sometimes he will sharpen the boards as well. And he always makes sure that the bindings are on properly. Usually, depending on the type of riding that we're going to do, whether the weather forecast is calling for snow or we're going to a specific competition, he's going to choose the board setup accordingly. If I'm, for example, going to be split boarding, that's going to be a consideration. So, a few days before we take a look at the weather. That's going to tell you what kind of board you're going to be bringing, what kind of equipment you're going to be bringing, as well as the wax that you're going to be putting on the board or even the board that you're going to be riding. Not just the board, but, you're also going to have a good idea of what you need to pack. Of course, you also want to be ready for any weather changes in the forecast. Sometimes, the weather is calling for one thing, but then something else happens. So we always like to be a little bit overdressed or bring more gear than not enough. And then you're not caught being too cold or too warm on that day, or, for example, too wet. If you're on, a really wet powder day, for example. So that's how we get ready in terms of equipment. And then what we do as well is thinking about the snacks, the food. No one, I'm going to say this, no one really likes to bring a cold sandwich to the ski hill or on your snowboard trip after a really cold day out on the hill or in the backcountry. So we're really well equipped with a lot of thermoses, but not only that, if we're in a resort, we also like to bring some ramen noodles where you can simply put in some boiling water and have it quickly made. And then here's another trick. If you're going to Mont Tremblant, there are microwaves. And I try to scope out any microwave that is available at any ski resort that I go on the first day. So in Mont Tremblant, there is one at the chalet at the top. So the top lodge called the Grand Manitou. At the bottom of the stairs on the left, you will find a microwave. On the north side chalet, there are two microwaves right beside the washrooms. And then on the south side, if you go upstairs in the Octobar area of the chalet right at the bottom there, you will also find a microwave. So microwaves, hot food, thermoses, get ready for that because that will keep your mini shreds and yourself happy during that lunch time. Okay, so back to gear here. I wanted to say There's many different options. I like to overdress rather than underdress. Believe it or not, on really cold days, I wear 2 down jackets plus a shell on top of my down jacket. That is how I like to keep warm. We bring hand warmers as well. So we only really crack hand warmers open when it's below -8 Celsius. That will keep your fingers warm, your kids' fingers warm, your friends' fingers warm. Buy a giant box. It'll cost you $40, but it will keep you going pretty much all season. And then not just that, but we also try to bring, more than one pair of goggles or an extra pair of goggles in case someone's goggles fog up. Same thing with face mask. We especially love the air hole face mask. They don't get as wet as much as other buffs. That is what we do. We bring some extra ones as well so you can swap them out at lunchtime. And then off we go. So one thing that I'm going to say for all you Icon and Epic pass holders, try to avoid those major ski hills on long weekends. But I understand most of us, work the 9-to-5 job, and therefore you can't really avoid the long weekends. That's the only time that you can go. My advice to you is research the resort that you're going to and find out if they have a backside. So where there isn't a village, where maybe it's a little bit off the beaten path. Maybe it's like a 5-minute extra drive to get to the other side of that mountain. Buy your ticket, or no, you should have your ticket beforehand so that when you get there, you're not stuck in the main lift line. Okay, so you're not just going to be avoiding the lift lines when you park on the backside of the mountain, but you may also be avoiding that darn shuttle ride to the ski hill because, of course, the parking lot right near the hill is full, or the parking lot is simply too far from the main lift because it's such a large resort. So seek out that backside of the mountain or that area where, you won't need a shuttle, and maybe you'll be able to keep a few things in your car that you don't want to bring along. So if you're going to Tremblant, that's the north side. That's where you'll want to park to avoid the crowds. The trick to making the most out of your day, especially on those busy long weekend Saturdays. So if you go to the backside of Mont Tremblant, you won't have the village, but let me tell you, you are going to save yourself probably a half hour of waiting in the lineup of that gondola on the south side, because the north side early in the morning won't have as long of a lineup. In fact, what we recommend is that you take the expo chair, which likely will have a non-existent lineup early in the morning, and at least that will get you up the mountain. That is our tip for avoiding the lines. Find the backside of the mountain. Get there early, have your lunch ready, have the right gear, take a lift that only takes you mid-mountain if there's already a lineup for that lift that takes you all the way up. Okay, so you're at the ski hill, and now you've gotten there, but you're supposed to be meeting up with your friends. Don't forget to download the Icon Pass app or the Epic app, since that's going to help you track your friends on the mountain. This is super helpful. In Tremblant, I know we go all the time. Thankfully, the top of the mountain is a good spot to meet up with everyone. If your friends do end up parking on the busy south side, My secret tip for them is to take the gondola that goes from the south side to the Soleil side and take the lift there if they want to avoid the gondola lineup. Now, this trick is being more and more shared, so less and less people are benefiting from it as the Soleil side chair becomes more crowded. Now, if anyone from Mont Tremblant is listening to this that is working at the resort, our biggest tip for management at Mont Tremblant is you absolutely need to increase the lift capacity. I mean, why is it that there's a useless gondola that goes from the south side to the Soleil side? What you really need to do is take that gondola and reinstall it so that it goes from the bottom of the hill to the top of the hill, because your problem that is driving people away are the crowds, the lineups. The lineups are outrageous. Anyway, that is that. But I do agree, a lot of people do enjoy Mont Tremblant because of that village at the bottom. I mean, who doesn't love having a beaver tail at the end of your day? And if you're not familiar with beaver tails, it is that pastry that is fried and covered with the topping of your choice, whether that is cinnamon sugar or Nutella or some maple frosting. Okay, so you're wondering which runs you should be doing when you visit Mont Tremblant. Now, depending on the type of rider that you are, here's what you want to do. If you're a park rat, and you're a park rat, but, you're still sort of in the learning curve, you want to go to the north side on the expo chair, the Mitsik Park, which is on the Sissy Shoes run. That will be the gateway for your park rats or your Groms to learn how to hit some small boxes and jump. If you want a little bit more advanced, so if you're looking more for medium-sized features and the beginner Mitsik Park on the north side isn't quite large enough for you, then you probably want to head over to the Progression Park on the Alpine Trail. So we call it the Alpine Park. There you will be lapping the TGV chair, which can get sometimes crowded, but, it is really not all that bad. And there you will find a few jumps and a few rails for intermediate riders. Now, if you're riding with the big boys in the park, you want to stick onto the south side near the village, and you will be lapping the Adrenaline Park. And that park can be accessed by the Flying Mile chair. This chair can get crowded early on Saturdays when people don't want to be taking the gondola, but it gets much quieter later in the day. Now, if you're going to Mont Tremblant and look at that, it snowed, you're looking for some freshies, you're looking for a little bit of powder, you're going to want to find some gladed runs or some runs that just aren't as coveted. So what you're going to want to do is early in the morning, you'll want to go to the Edge chair. And there will be quite a few tree runs from there. However, if you find yourself that, that has been tracked out, then you'll want to look for the Ryan runs on the south side. There's other secret stashes out there, but I'm not going to reveal all of my secrets. Now, if you're a beginner and you're looking for some greens, there is the absolute longest run that goes from top to bottom, and that is called the Nansen Run. And if you're looking for, a green run that is going down to the north side because you're trying to avoid the crowds, what you're going to want to take is Petit Bonheur. And personally, if you ask me what my favorite groomer run is, it is Toboggan, because it has rollers that you can pop off of and do knuckle hooks all the way down. That run is found on the Soleil side, and it is a fun one. So we go to the lunchbox corner to have lunch on the north side, where it's a little bit less crowded than the top chalet. However, if you're wondering, how am I going to keep track of all my friends and my kids if they don't have a phone with them to download that Icon app? My suggestion is that you give, your little ones either an Apple Pod, an Apple Tag, I guess is what they call them. If you're not ready to buy your kids a phone, I suggest that you get them an Apple Watch. That is what we have done for our oldest son, because as he got older and he wanted to explore the mountain with his friends, but at the same time, being 10 years old, we were like, well, what if you get stuck somewhere? What if you get hurt? What if you just get lost on a random mountain where you don't know where you are? How are you going to get a hold of us? So we got him an Apple Watch. That way we can stay in touch with him. I mean, this has also been done a number of other ways through walkie-talkies and so on. So choose the weapon of your choice, but make sure you have a meeting spot and a meeting time for your group to hang out and to find each other throughout the day if you guys get separated. Okay, so when we go on a snowboard trip, we never know what the weather is going to bring us. And sometimes it happens. I mean, it happened when we went to Sugarloaf. The whole mountain was on wind hold, and so we couldn't really go snowboarding. And so my advice to you who are bringing, your crew snowboarding, find some activities other than snowboarding that you can do while you're in Mont Tremblant or while you're at that new big shiny ski resort. What I like to do with the kids when we go there is, if we're really tired and having a down day, we go to Studio Créatif and we paint some ceramics, and then they have a beautiful ceramic piece to bring back home. Or there's also some other activities for the kids. I mean, I don't know what's there now, but we've done laser tag in Mont Tremblant. We have done the aquatic center. There is also a VR center. So there are a lot of activities. And Mont Tremblant always ensures that there's something for the kids. I mean, they have Tofu, their mascot, always going around, high-fiving the kids. They have Marc-en-Bulle, which makes some balloon animals or balloon action figures or whatever it is that you want made out of a balloon. Marc-en-Bulle will do it for you. So they do make sure that, for the really little guys in the village, they have something to do. Now, I understand that, sometimes you don't want to bring your whole crew of kids snowboarding. We try to balance both snowboard, Dad and I. And sometimes we go snowboarding with the kids, but what's really important these days is that they have their own crew of friends to snowboard with. So it's really important for you to develop friendships with other kids their age, so that they have some little snowboarders to hang out with, or even little skiers to hang out with. Because you know what? There will come a time when your mini shreds really don't want to shred with you, sadly. And at the same time, Snowboard Dad and I always make sure that we book some trips together. So we will be booking something that we can't really bring the kids to, and that is our little cat boarding trip to Les Chic-Chocs. But you know what? We love snowboarding, and we make sure that at the end of the day, we have a great time, whether that's meeting up with friends that have other kids while they have hot chocolates. We fill up our Icon Pass, by the way, with 10 hot chocolates for each kid, and they can go over to the cafeteria or any Mont Tremblant cafe and get a hot chocolate on a cold day. So we make sure to, not just shred the whole time, but ensure that they can build relationships and so that we can also make friends. So what do you think? Do you have any hot tips for me when I go and visit your ski resort? I would love to hear it. For those of you that don't have kids or that are going to go to Mont Tremblant, there is also a great nightlife scene there on the weekends. You'll want to go to the microbrew La Diable for a pitcher of beer with some friends. And then later on in the evening, you'll want to go to Le Petit Caribou. And that is where everybody gets together at the end of a great weekend of skiing and snowboarding to have a few drinks and maybe start dancing on the bar. So that, is where some many memories I have made with friends is going to Le Petit Caribou in my late teens and early 20s. And I even had my bachelorette party there. So there is a wonderful nightlife there if you're also there to party. And if you're bringing non-skier friends with you, drop them off in the village, go park on the north side, go shred your day. They'll be fully entertained by that village, and they'll have a great time in the evening. There's something for everyone in Mont Tremblant, and that is why we keep on going back. Okay, so let's be honest. Mont Tremblant is in the east. If you're in the US, you're going to want to come to Mont Tremblant because the exchange rate is so good here. However, my tip is don't come on an American long weekend. It is already so busy. And the reason for that is that Icon has blackout dates on the American long weekends, but they don't have blackout dates for Mont Tremblant. So everyone with an Icon pass seems to flock over here. So that is my pro tip and hot take. Next thing that I'm going to say is the best time to visit Mont Tremblant is probably in April. I'm even going to say Easter. That is when there aren't too many crowds. People think that skiing and snowboard season is completely over. And so there are few lineups. You're probably going to get quite a bit of sunshine. It's not going to be cold. And guess what? At the end of the day, you'll be able to sit on the patio and have a cold beer with your friends, and you won't be freezing cold. The springtime is the best time to go to Mont Tremblant. The jumps are soft. You have a great time, and the family won't be cold. Honestly, that's when we love to go snowboarding the most. Okay, so to recap, get your gear ready a few days before. Don't forget to bring some warm food for lunch. Park on the side that is not the main side of the mountain if you're going on a busy weekend. Download the Icon app. Download the Mont Tremblant app. Find ways of tracking your friends and your family on the mountain and have a meetup spot. Make sure you have the right gear. Find some activities to do after skiing and snowboarding. Find some activities to do in case where there is a day where folks can't ski or snowboard. Check out the local scene. Stick to trails where you know you can handle, and simply have fun. Make sure to relax and recharge so that you can eventually go back home and feel satisfied with your snowboard trip and that everyone has had fun, adults and kids alike. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to share a little gear review with you, and that is my favorite snowboard socks. Now, I have bought different brands of snowboard socks in the past, but now I have been sticking to Stance socks. And the reason is that the Stance socks have the right cushioning. They're made of merino wool, but they're also thick enough. I've had merino wool socks that were too light and simply didn't keep me warm on really cold days. Yeah, they were great because they were breathable, but they still weren't keeping me warm. So get those Stance socks. Now, the one thing that is so special about Stance is they're infinite. We love infinite because as soon as you get a hole in those socks, you simply reach out to the customer service over at Stance, and those guys will ask you to take a few pictures so that those socks can be replaced. Because guess what? Infinite socks have a lifetime warranty. Isn't that amazing? So yeah, sometimes it's the small piece of equipment that will make or break your day on the hill. So make sure you have warm socks. That is one of my hot tips. All right, so get your Stance socks. I've left a link in the show notes so that you can find them. I've also left a link in the show notes on Airhole, which I spoke about earlier in the show. If you have been to Mont Tremblant and you have your own tips, please do share them with me. Next week, I will be interviewing Natalie Alport. Natalie is local to the Ottawa-Gatineau area. She rides Tremblant quite a bit. She has been on the national team for slopestyle. So a super inspiring shredder. She is now competing in the free ride side of snowboarding. And I'm really looking forward to our conversation with her. All right, that's it for today. I hope you like the show. And if you do have any tricks or tips to make or break a snowboard day, please do let me know. If you did like the show, don't forget to follow or subscribe. Rate and review our podcast because it means so much to us. And share the wealth. All right, let's raise the bar. Shred on.